Just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Bloke in a Bar. We're here with a beardless Cameron Smith. Mate, you broke me heart. When you got rid of that beard, you broke me heart.
I know. I've seen a few of your posts this year. I made a few of your team of the week, and whoever had facial hair in that team of the week, it made it onto my face. So yeah, I'm sorry about that. Unfortunately, it was the COVID beard.
Yeah.
Had it over the break,
Yeah.
or the suspension of the competition,
Yeah.
and I just got lazy and I thought, I'll grow this, and the boys seen it
Yeah.
down in Melbourne, and they said, mate, got to keep it. You got to keep it for the first game, and we come out and got beat.
Yeah.
And that was the end of the beard right there.
Honestly, as soon as you lost, I was like, he's going to shave it. Because it's like anything, like you come out and you like have let's say you dyed your hair blonde or whatever, you have a shocker.
Yep.
You wouldn't obviously have the coach, but most coaches would go, mate, get rid of that fucking hair.
Yep. Straight out. Yeah.
Straight gone.
I think we had a couple of those boys. I think
Yep.
Big Nas, Tino.
Big Tino.
They had the bleached hair, and that.
Did they have to
That
roll the
disappeared.
dice in that because Cam was telling me that you have to like roll the dice if you get pulled up.
Hey mate, believe it or not, that was self-inflicted. They just did that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
They just did it themselves.
wow.
So that was part of their little break. They thought it'd be cool to bleach the hair. So
You know, it's funny, the generational gap. You did a beard, like, real masculine. They bleached their hair blonde. That's a generation gap I've ever seen one.
that's the difference, mate, between the old boys and the kids. Yeah.
Yeah, good. So, mate, what a, 8 weeks. The last 8 weeks for you. You win. From the outside looking in, I'd say that this, I'd assume at the end of every grand final, you feel like this is the greatest grand final. But this was such a unique grand final. Then you had the release of your book. What's it been like for you?
Yeah, it's been hectic, mate. Been pretty busy. I haven't really stopped since the granny,
Yep.
but it's been good. Like it's being busy is good for me. I don't really like sort of sitting around doing nothing, but it has been full on, like sort of straight off the back of the premiership. Like Origin was on straight onto us, so I was involved in there in the last game. But then outside of that, launching the book, which was good fun.
Was that like a whole different beast?
It was, mate. Yeah,
Yeah.
it sort of going back to it was the end of last year. That's when the whole process started, where I sat down with Andrew Webster and started talking about sort of my life and my story. And mate, I was dreading it.
Really?
I didn't really ever think I'd write a book, and I'd been approached several times. Like, this is going back a few years, but the guys that published my book, Alan and Unwin, they come to me and my management and said, mate, we think you could do
write a book.
do a really good book here, and I agreed. And then as the sort of commitments started coming out, and I started realising what I had to do, I was like, oh no, what have I got myself into here?
Yeah.
But when I sat down and Webby come down to Melbourne for about a week, and we sat down and we were pretty much made 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. in the Arvo, just chatting. I started enjoying it after a couple of days, and it actually felt good to talk about, not only about like footy stuff, but like things in my life, things about my family, where I come from back in Logan, how it all started when I started playing rugby league, and it just sort of brought up a lot of good memories. There's some stuff in there, obviously, that were some pretty big challenges throughout my career as well. But even talking about those, it was quite. It was quite
It was almost
enjoyable
like
process.
cathartic. Like
it was, mate.
just to get off your chest, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned that in my book. That I'm a type of player that I keep things to myself, and I just move on. You know what I mean? That's just the type of person I am, and that's the type of family I've come from. My wife is the same, and whatever gets sort of dealt your way, you deal with it and move on.
Yeah.
And you don't sort of try and burden anyone else with whatever you're dealing with. So that's the way I dealt with things throughout my entire life. But actually being able to talk about those things through that process of writing the book was, it was really good.
It's it would be like a strange, because you obviously want to talk about what you've been through and everything you've done and all you've achieved, but was it kind of weird where you were like, man, I don't want to talk it up, but I also want to talk about the truth of what's happened, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think there's probably there's a handful of moments in the book where you're talking about or reliving those moments, and you're sort of sitting there going, "I'm going to sound like a complete knob."
Yeah.
In this,
Absolutely.
but I guess what I was, where I was reassured was that you sort of go back once it's all written, you get to go back and look over it and edit it and check it and make sure that it comes out the way you want it to sound.
Yeah.
So even through that process where reading through the book, I read through it like several times before we give the final product over to the publisher. But even that was pretty. That was fun. It's something I'd never done before. I'd never written a book and never
100%.
thought I'd ever do anything like that. But I didn't. I wasn't really. The one thing that Webby spoke to me about was try not to hold back. Because if you hold back, that's when you don't give the real you to the book.
Yep.
And it just doesn't come across authentic.
Yep.
So I tried to be as upfront and honest as I could throughout the time I spent with him, and just made sure that once I went through the editing process, that the book actually it come across like I'm talking to the reader, and it does sound like me. Yeah,
it's like a book, like just like your whole life. I'm sure. Did you cut a lot of it? Like, as in, was it so long that you had to like take bits out?
Yeah, well, mate, we really just tried to touch on the really sort of, I guess, the important parts of my life and my career, things that are relevant to rugby league fans and people that sort of know who I am.
Yep.
There would have been another 100 pages of other stuff that really we just felt like it didn't need to be in the book.
Yep.
And we touched on the things that I guess people found more interesting about my story.
It's what I was crazy reading it, and I think if I'm remembering correctly, you were actually at the Storm before Craig was at the Storm. Is that true?
Yeah, that's right, mate.
That's crazy.
Yeah, well, I was signed there in 2000 as a 17-year-old, and so Craig was at the Broncos, and he was assistant coach there. So I made my debut in 2002. Craig was still at Brisbane, and that was the year of the baby Broncos.
Yeah. Oh, yep.
When they went down and beat the West Tigers during the State of Origin series.
Yep.
And so mate, I played my first two matches under Mark Murray.
That's
and
crazy.
then things didn't pan out the way they wanted to between Storm and Mark Murray, and they parted ways, and they were looking for a next sort of up and coming coach, and that was Bellyache.
Bellyache, because he was at. Didn't he follow Bennett from Raiders to?
Well, I think Wayne had gone to Brizzy well before Craig left.
Okay. Yeah.
So Craig was still playing first grade in Canberra. Wayne had gone.
Yeah.
Up to Broncos for 88.
Yep.
Their inaugural season.
Yep.
And then I think Craig did a bit of lower grade coaching at the Raiders before moving up to up to Brizzy, and he spent I think it might have been 5 seasons there as his assistant.
What a period to come through the Broncos too, because I mean that's when they were like
golden. Yeah.
Walk us through that grand final. So I actually tipped you for a dominant win.
Did you?
Yeah, I said I honestly, because I just thought that like people were really. Like, you were out of sight, out of mind up at Sunny Coast, and I was like, Storm are going to love this. They're just sitting there. They're up beautiful weather. Like they've got. It's almost like the perfect. Yes, it would be. It's obviously hard to be away from your family. 100%. But when you're talking about trying to create the best environment to be the best you can be, you couldn't ask for a better environment.
You know what? There's no doubt. Like it was tough being away from home. Like we didn't. We spent 5 months away from our homes and our own beds and all that sort of stuff, and the comforts of your own house. But like. If you look at it strictly from a performance point of view, it couldn't have turned out better for us.
Yeah.
As far as bringing our group close together, we spent every minute of the day pretty much with each other, apart from when we were sleeping at night.
Yep.
Because there was nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
For the most part of the season, we were in like a rolling quarantine. So in August, when the second wave of like COVID. Erupted here in New South Wales. Any time we played a team from New South Wales, which was pretty much
every second week, or
it was pretty much every week for the remainder of our season, because we played Brizzy, and I think we'd played. The Cowboys may have, but we were in a rolling quarantine. So in actual fact, like we couldn't leave our hotel unless we were training or we were playing. So we travel. We get up in the morning, have our brekkie together. Whatever training day it was, we travelled to the stadium, Sunshine Coast Stadium. We go and train, do whatever we had to do. We'd travel back, and that was it. Like, we couldn't leave that joint.
Far out.
Which was, that was a challenge in itself, particularly for, I think, for the older guys and me being the oldest. And then, guys like Jesse Bromwich, who's only, like 30 or 31. Like, for older guys, like, we got a bit going on in our life outside of footy.
Absolutely, yeah.
Whereas with the young fellas, like, footy is what they live and breathe. Yeah. Which, where I was at when I was their age, at, 20, 21. So it was a bit hard to adjust to that. Like, you just sort of...
Because you didn't see your family for 5 months, hey?
Yeah, 3 months.
3 months.
Yeah, didn't see him for 3 months, which was...
That's got a sting.
Oh, it's hard, man. Like, the days off for me were the hardest because that's when, you got to do school drop-off and pick up and, go have a coffee with the missus and whatever. But I was just stuck in this hotel by myself. Like, I had my mates there and other families. Yeah. But, they're doing their own thing.
Absolutely.
And so that was hard. And but, like that, I don't know, maybe that's what we're talking about. That's why if you've seen someone struggling a bit through, a period of the day or like a couple of days in a week, you'd go and grab them and say, hey, mate, let's hang out. What do you... Let's, have a chat at the pool, or let's play a game of cards, or
it'd be so much like as you just said, like it'd be so much better to keep everyone's moods like just above water there. Whereas you're totally right. Like sometimes in seasons, especially the young fellas, like you don't know that they're fully struggling. You just got no idea. They rock up, they might be a bit quiet, but at least in that environment,
and it's hard, mate, because you can like. A lot of these footy players, they can disguise it.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? And like they get to training and they're up and about because they see their mates, they're doing something that they really enjoy. But then when it's time to go home, you don't know what's going on at home. Yeah. Unless you can actually pick something or they're willing to come and chat to you about it. It's hard to sort of pick it or see it. But when we're in that environment, like, because as I said, mate, you're seeing each other all the time. Yeah. It's pretty easy to tell when someone was struggling. But I thought our group, particularly like our staff, did a really good job this year of not overdoing things. Yeah. And like as you know, like anyone that's been around sort of any elite sport, like coaches, when they get a hold of you, like mate, they love it. You know what I mean? They just want to train. They just want to train you as much as they can and do meetings and watch videos.
Sculpture is a perfect athlete.
Yeah, and then so that it was perfect opportunity for them because they had us at their disposal 24/7. But they made a point, like Craig and our footy manager Frank Panissi and our performance staff, like they made a point when we first arrived and said, "Hey, listen, I know we're in this environment where we're on top of each other, and we do have access to you all the time, but we're gonna keep things as normal as possible.
Just give you that space.
As like we're in Melbourne, So like our days off were days off. There was no like, Ballet wasn't gonna. We'll just
jump in this video session.
We're here. We'll just do a quick meeting and watch his vision, and it was just completely off. That's
really good. So leading up to the finals, what were because I was doing a podcast each week, kind of like breaking down, previewing the game, and I just thought like, if you can just shut down Cleary's kicking game, that's like such a big part of the Penrith Panthers. And the South Sydney Rabbitohs, their kick pressure was really poor, watching the week before. What were some key things to shut down Penrith, do you think, that you did that week?
Yeah, well, mate, I watched a bit of that Rabbits Penrith game, and they're the two things I found in that match was that like there was very little kick pressure on Cleary, and he did a fantastic job this year with his kicking, but we'd seen some evidence that if you put pressure on him, he's like every other player. Yeah, you take his time away, and you take his space away, then you're going to limit his opportunities, and you're going to limit the times he puts the ball where he wants to. Yep. Which was a huge weapon for their side, and what was
got him out of trouble much.
Got him out of trouble, but also like he was getting some early kicks away in early tackles in sets where all it did was just it kept applying pressure to the opposition, made them come out from their own end, and they weren't doing anything overly flash or sophisticated with the footy. They were just running hard, and Cleary was kicking well.
Yep.
And then the other thing was, I don't know, I just felt like the Bunnies. I don't know whether they were tired or what it was, but I just felt like I didn't see any urgency in their defence. So it gave guys like Cleary, Jerome Luai just time with the footy.
Yep.
Isaiah Yeo.
Yep.
Who was outstanding.
Oh, he was incredible.
Like you're playing as a link player with his little sort of overs and unders runs, and tipping onto his other ruck forwards. They were just doing what they wanted to do. So the two key areas for me was, number one, we needed to take time away from Nathan.
Yep.
And really just have a fast-moving defensive line, which I thought we did all night.
Oh man, especially that first. You guys were shooting out of the line that first one. Not in a bad sense, but there was just no time. And I think Joey, even in the commentary, was like, Cleary needs to step way back because Storm are just pushing and pushing and pushing.
Yeah.
And that was, I guess, the plan?
Yeah, it was, mate. It was. And I don't know, because we only played them once in the regular season, and that was at Campbelltown.
Yep.
And we had a couple of players not play that game. And, I wouldn't say that's the reason we lost. We played poorly. They played well. Penrith played really well. But I was just all year. I was sitting back and watching them play, and mate, take nothing away from Penrith. Like, they won 17 in a row. To do that in our competition,
mate, amazing.
It's a big effort. But I don't know. I was just sitting there, just thinking, like, if we play well, I had this feeling. I didn't say it to too many people, but I just had this feeling that if we played our best, I just didn't think that they were going to be able to beat us.
Yep.
And thankfully, mate, like, as I've learned over my career, like, I've lost grand finals as well. If you get to that last game, you just have to play your best footy.
Yep. It's got to be the best. It's like, and the irony there is, like, Penrith probably played one of their, especially the first half anyway. The second half was much better. But it was that first 20 minutes. I also feel like a lot of your defence didn't get enough raps, like, on your line.
Yeah.
Because they had you down there for, it was pretty much what broke the straw that broke the camel's back was the intercept from Sully.
Yeah.
That changed. I mean, I could be wrong, but from outside looking in, it changed the whole momentum.
Yeah. Oh, mate, like the start of the game.
Mate, it was wild.
When he's put the wobbly kickoff up and it's turned over straight away, I was like, oh, no, this surely
could be a nightmare.
Surely, surely not. But in like the quality, you see the quality teams, they respond.
Yeah.
They don't lose their head there and think, shit, like, that's not what we plan to do.
Yeah.
That's not the plan. We're meant to catch it and go through our set and kick.
Yep.
That's the way the game's meant to start.
Yep.
But we just kept our head and defended our way out of it. And I don't know, maybe, as you said, mate, maybe that period where we defended our line for, I think it was like 2 or 3 sets in a row, like we hardly had the ball. Maybe that was what sent us on our way to. Oh man,
I think it did. From just outside looking in, because like it felt like when Cleary couldn't get those points, he felt like, okay, I need to get these points now. I'm in my 3rd set. We need to score here.
Yeah.
And I feel like it took till the second half for him to go, you know what, we just need to like come back. Anyway, so second half rolls around. And you guys literally try to lose the game. I was going, what are they doing?
Yeah, I know.
What were you saying to the boys on the field? Because you got them together and you were just like...
Yeah, so I for some reason, like our boys were trying to do things that they hadn't done all year. Like they're trying to throw like cutout passes and flick passes. And we're up 22...
Mate, 100%.
22-0. And they're doing stuff that we didn't need to do. Like, and at the halftime chat wasn't about, hey, let's just defend our lead, because I think that's playing negative footy as well, and that's where you can come undone. But we just didn't need, the silly offloads and the passes that weren't on, and like you said, mate, it was almost like we wanted crazy. Penrith to come back and be involved in the game. We're like. If we went out and played like we did in the first half, and you got to remember, like, Penrith played a different style of footy in the second half, and they were much better.
Yeah.
But like that we left points out there in the second half, unfortunately.
Massively.
But mate, we held on. Like, it was just crazy. I lost me shit there a couple of times. only because like some of the boys, I think maybe a little. I don't know if it was panic or what it was, but maybe they thought they needed to do something that they didn't need to do. And that was my message. I was like, hey boys, just do what you did in the first half.
Yeah,
and that'll be enough.
Yeah, we'll win.
That'll be enough. It's not playing, but it's not going out trying to do something that doesn't need to happen. Yeah, mate, exactly. Doing all these flick passes when you got three blokes in the tackle and trying to put a ball around the corner and Anyway, mate, we held on. It was a crazy finish, So
the siren goes like, as it was like before. I was saying, do you think it was? Would it be up there as one of the best grand finals you've won in the sense of like everything you'd been through? Or would the one, I think it was like 2017, after the building back after the cap drama, then to prove, you know what, it wasn't really about that, it was about everything.
Yeah, mate, I'd say like this year and 2012. So it was 2012 when we beat the Doggies.
Yep.
They're special, different reasons, obviously. But this year was... I know it was pretty remarkable.
Oh, 100%.
With the the circumstances that we're in, and the entire competition, but particularly with us, having to move away from home and do it the way we did it, mate, was really special. Was really special, and it wasn't just the footy team; it was the entire staff that were a part of it, and our families in particular as well. Because I think they get lost in a little bit because everyone watches the footy and you see the players and you see, Bellyache and the other coaches up in the coaches box and all that sort of stuff. But the families sacrificed a lot as well because by them making the decision to come in to our camp or our bubble, as the term was throughout the year, they were essentially giving up their life as well.
Absolutely.
Because they weren't allowed out. They weren't allowed to see friends. They weren't allowed to see family.
And it was like a thankless sacrifice as well.
It was,
because
mate.
You don't get the glory.
No, that's right.
You're not holding the trophy in that.
That's exactly right. So in a way, this year was bigger than just the footy team and the footy club. It was the whole group. Like it was pretty much the entire sort of Storm family that were able to achieve the premiership this year.
When do you think I felt like it was probably about around about the 18 to 20 mark. Oh, sorry, not 18, about the 15 to 20 mark. It looked like you'd figured out the way you wanted to play.
Absolutely.
Whereas I felt like at the start, you were going like, you were just like touching, feel like okay, this isn't working. Is that what it was kind of like?
Yeah, well, the first two rounds, mate, I thought we started really well. Like we started with Manly at Brookie.
Yep.
And we had a good win there. Then we had to play the Sharkies, which was the first of the sort of fly-in day of game.
Oh man!
And that was and no crowds. That was the strangest thing I've ever been a part of.
Yeah,
like playing a game of footy.
Oh my god! Echoing in that.
Yeah. And so we jagged a really tight win that night at Cogra. And then the break happened, right? So and that's when the rule changes come in. So then we come back and we didn't adapt over that break. We felt we did. Like we trained really hard. I felt we were fit, but just the way we played our footy, we didn't play it with enough speed. We didn't play. We were playing too deep off the footy.
Yep.
We needed to be up on the ball, and I think those first sort of handful of rounds after the break, that's when we were trying to figure out hey, what's going to work best here. So we're doing a lot of tinkering at training and in our video sessions when we're doing our reviews and that, just looking at and we're looking at other teams as well, just going picking a bit of what they're doing here and a bit here, and this seems to be working. This is a bit of a trend at the moment. And then like you said, I totally agree with you, mate. Like there was a point in the year where like things just clicked, and I had a feeling in my mind, and I just felt like if we play consistently at our best, and and I'm not trying to sound arrogant or big-headed here, but I just felt we've got a style of footy here that teams are going to struggle to defend against.
Absolutely.
and I just felt like if we play consistently at our best, we're going to win a lot of footy games.
I think your bench was just like, even if they went with you, even if they went first 20 with you, your bench would just come and blow teams apart. Happened in the I think it was like the Eels semi-final, 20-minute mark, like they were trying to, and then your bench comes on. So it was just you just had your bench was so explosive. With like Cheese, Tino, Christian Welch moved into the starting side towards the end of the year, I think. And then you had Nico Hines as well. They're just too explosive. But anyway, take us back to a young Smitty. You were born in Logan, or you moved to Logan at a young age?
Born in Brizzy. Born in Brizzy, 83. And no hospitals in Logan, man, at that time. So born in Brizzy. But grew up in Logan. Mum and Dad bought a house down there early 80s. Might have been a year or two before I was born, but grew up in Marsden. Did all my school in there, Marsden Primary, Marsden High, and that's where I started my footy at little club called, at the time it was called Brother St Paul's, now known as Logan Brothers, which is one of the biggest. Oh man, it's grown into one of the biggest junior footy clubs in Brisbane, in Queensland, I reckon. Like it's
known. It's just known as like everyone knows Logan Brothers.
Yeah, there's unfortunately I don't get much time to get back up there over recent years, but I have ducked in a couple of times when I've been back, and there's like 6 or 8 like sides in nearly every age group.
No way.
It's just crazy.
That is crazy.
Because the city, like Logan City's growing a lot, and there's just, mate, rugby league in that town is just
they love it.
They love it, mate. They love it.
So you grew up actually playing 5'8". At what point did you kind of feel like? Because I read a bit of your book, but I'll kind of let you explain it. So at what point did you realise? Because your father played hooker as well. But did you realise like this is a genuine opportunity here? Like I truly could be a professional rugby league player.
But it just sort of I don't know. Like, I always wanted to be a professional rugby league player. Never ever thought I'd make a career out of being a dummy half though. And the old man was a dummy half, and
that's crazy to think.
Yeah,
it's crazy to think.
But he was like, I'm a lot taller than him. And a bit sort of leaner, so I wasn't in that build of like that traditional sort of like small nuggety dummy halves. I was a bit sort of taller, rangier, so I played in the backs, and I didn't really have
the speed.
Explosive speed off the mark, should I say? And I didn't really have an appetite to get into the forwards.
Mate, I'm with you there.
When I was a young fella, but what happened was, so I played 5'8", all my juniors. But when I was 15, a guy that was involved in like schoolboy footy, his name's Brad McLennan, and he come down to our club, Logan Brothers, and he just said, mate, I reckon you should give dummy half a crack. If you play dummy half, you might. You're a chance of making the Queensland schoolboys.
Okay.
I was like, okay, no worries. So I started playing 9 that year, and I got picked in the schoolboys team.
Wow.
Not as the starting 9, I made the bench spot.
It's like a 14 kind of role?
Yeah, I was number 14. And so, we did a tour of New South Wales. We come down and played New South Wales CHS in Penrith. And then we come down and played the National Carnival at Seaford Oval, Queanbeyan. So that's where it first started, mate. But then from there, the following year, under 16s, I went back to 5'8".
Really? So it's pretty much just to make that side, really?
Yeah. So, but from there though, so I went back to 5'8" again. But then any of the junior rep sides that were getting picked, like either for club junior rep sides, I'd get picked a dummy half.
So they kind of they got a taste of it, and then they just said, "Oh, he can play hooker. We'll chuck him in there."
Yeah. So they threw me in at hooker, and as that was sort of, I think that was when there was a bit of a trend in the game, not only junior footy but in first grade as well. You're sort of getting the old, getting guys that played in the halves like Bedsy.
Yep.
Like Denny Badiris played in the halves growing up, or played a halves lock.
Yep.
Sort of role, and then went into 9. So he had this like ball playing skills, but then went into dummy half, and it was sort of like an extra half.
Yep.
Picking the ball up at the ruck. So that's how it sort of my the back end of my junior footy career went. So I was playing 5'8" and a little bit of lock towards the end, but I was getting picked in these rep sides as a 9. And so that's how the Storm come about.
Yeah.
Or they popped up on the radar. Was I got picked in the under-17s Brisbane side, which is club footy.
Yep.
We went up to Rockhampton, played in the state carnival up there, and I was playing 9 for that team. And so Hook, Anthony Griffin.
Mate, Hook, one of the best.
Good old Hook. He was working at the Devils, Norse Devils at the time, and employed by the Storm as a recruitment.
I didn't know that until I read your book, actually.
Yeah, so he was working in sort of recruitment and a bit of coaching. And he seen me up there, and I think he reported back and said, "Mate, I think there's a young fella up there playing 9." He goes, "All right." So then had a meeting.
But this was after you didn't make the. You didn't make the side?
Yeah. So off the back of that, off the back of that carnival, we had a possibles probables game, and I missed out on that Queensland 17 side, which was like a goal of mine. I had this goal for that year to make that team, because that team had the opportunity to play in curtain raiser for Origin.
Yep.
At Lang Park.
Yep.
In 2000. And I I had my heart set on this jersey, and to represent Queensland at Lang Park before a state
curtain raiser. Yeah.
Like, just doesn't get any bigger for a 17-year-old.
Bloody oath.
And then so I missed out.
Stinging?
Oh, mate, stinging. I was shattered.
Yeah.
I was shattered. Like, and to the point, and like I mentioned that in the book, that I went out in the car park, and like I was that upset, and I remember sitting there just thinking, well, that's it.
It's crazy.
It's all over. Like, if I can't make this team,
how am I going to progress further?
Yeah, like there's no, like, if I can't make an under-17s Queensland side, like, that's where all the good young talent get picked, and then they go on, and
a lot of players kind of have contracts to clubs at 17 as well,
that's right, mate.
And they're in the system.
They have some association or scholarship or whatever it was, and like I had nothing, and I thought, well, that's it. Like, then my dream's over.
And what did your dad say to you?
Yeah, so then me old man, I remember me mate speaking to me, Richo. I played alongside him at Logan Brothers, and he sort of come over and said, "Oh, mate, they got it wrong, and they're full of shit." But and then the old man grabbed me, and I sort of said to him, he goes, "Mate, it's all right." And I said, "Nah, it's not, because, mate, like, I can't make this team. I'm not going to make. I can't. No one's going to pick me up now to play NRL.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough to make this team." And he's just sort of he always had this way of sort of not dumbing things down, but making it easy for us kids to understand. And he just said, "Mate, like, when you have scrapbooks and you collect little, articles or whatever, blah blah blah, as you like, if you have little snippets and photos and whatever." He said, "Mate, like, when it comes time to get an NRL contract, or a club sees interest in you, or a coach thinks you're playing well, like, they're not going to ask for a scrapbook of all your junior footy highlights."
So true.
Or, mate, what team have you played for?
Yeah.
Like, how many rep teams have you played for? If you haven't played for this many, well, you can't come into our system. It's not about that at all.
No prerequisites.
He said, "Mate, like, it's disappointing, and it's good that you're disappointed, because it shows that you care. You know what I mean? And you really wanted to be a part of this." He said, "But the most important thing is that you move on from the disappointment, and you just try and be better. And then make sure the rest of this season and next year, you just play your very best and put yourself in the picture, because all they're going to worry about, all these first grade coaches worry about, is what you're doing in that moment when they're looking for someone to pick in their squad." Mate,
it's such a good bit of advice, because it kind of keeps you in the moment at all times, in the sense of, like, it's a new chance, it's a new chance, it's a new chance.
That's right, mate.
Whereas, like, if you get caught up thinking, okay, I struggled at this carnival, and then you don't make a team again, then it just snowballs, like, oh, this is the second time I haven't made it, the third time I haven't made it.
Exactly, mate. Yeah, and so, like, for me, like, right then, when I thought, well, that's it, it's all over, it was invaluable, like, to get that sort of advice from the old man, to say, hey, listen, it's actually a good thing you're disappointed, but here's a challenge in front of you that you need to get through.
Okay, so you don't make that side, and I guess you'd be disappointed for a bit, but then Dad gives you that advice. At what point Because you're obviously a mad Broncos fan growing up.
Yep.
At what point did the Storm kind of contact you and be?
So, mate, it wasn't long after that game when I missed out, and that obviously boosts your confidence a lot when you get the phone call and say, "Hey, mate, we're pretty keen to have a chat." So we went spoke to the guys from the Storm, myself and Mum and Dad. Just met with them at lunch and sort of got a feel for what they were thinking for my future and at the club and in their system. And then not long after, the Broncos phoned up as well.
So they had gotten wind, or
yeah, well, I think so.
Yeah,
I think that was the case.
Yeah,
because I was a local kid.
Yep.
I've been in Brizzy that whole time.
And there'd been no contact whatsoever.
There'd been nothing.
Yep.
Yeah, there'd been no interest at all. And so I remember going in, went to Red Hill, Mum and Dad again.
Good old Red Hill.
Went into Wayne's office, and mate, it was so bloody daunting.
Yep.
Walking into Wayne's office and he's sitting there behind his desk, and
so this is 2001, 2000.
No, this is 2000, mate.
So this is their like the big dogs, Broncos.
Big dogs, mate. Yeah. Yep. So they'd won Super League 97
and Storm won 99. So it's two of the best clubs.
Yeah. So Bronx won 97 and then 98.
Yep.
The first NRL premiership.
Yep.
And then Storm
99,
right?
Yep.
So they're the last three premiers.
It's crazy. You've gone from like no clubs to the two best clubs.
Yeah. So I'll go in and meet Wayne and have a chat to him, and we're only in there sort of briefly, like, I don't know, 10 minutes. Similar sort of spiel about, where he saw me in the system and whatnot, and some stuff about how he'd help me as a footballer and if I was to become a Bronco. Anyway, so we left there, and that was a big decision to make because, mate, I was a Bronco fan through and through. Yeah, from a little boy all the way up to that point. And when thinking back to my childhood, watching footy and having that dream of being a first grader, it was only ever going to be in a Broncos jersey, or that's what I wanted to be.
That's the only like reality that existed in your head.
Yeah. And I didn't particularly want to go down south, or move away from home down to Sydney and play for a club down there. But there was this new franchise, Melbourne Storm, and for a million years, like, who would ever have thought there'd be an NRL team in Victoria?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially then as well. Like, it's so dominated by AFL.
That's right, mate. But so I was sort of faced with this sort of decision of I went from having no interest at all from any clubs, and then now I've got the Broncos, the team I supported as a kid, all the way up to that point in time, and the new team in the competition who just won the premiership the previous season. Yep. And really all it come down to was opportunity. And at the time, Prideaux was the dummy half for the Broncos.
That's crazy.
Luke Prideaux.
Yeah.
Followed, behind him was a guy by the name of Michael Ryan. Shrimpy Ryan.
Yeah, I remember him.
Mate, he was regarded as one of the best young dummy halves in the country. And then so I would have been behind him as well. And then at the Storm, there was Richard Swain. He was a really sort of tough. They called him the Iron Man, but
really,
he was the guy that rarely missed games.
Yep.
But then other than that, there was no other recognised dummy half at the Storm other than Denny Williams, who had played a bit of nine before he came to the Storm when he was at North Sydney Bears.
Yep.
But he was then playing in the back row.
Okay, so it wasn't
at that time.
Nine.
That's right, mate. He wasn't an out nine. So I decided to pick Storm purely on opportunity and a chance to play first grade, because that's
how much did that sting? Like, not sting you, but how hard was that choice? Was that really tough, or not really?
Yeah, it was a hard choice because here was the opportunity to go to the Broncos, the team I wanted to play for. But I just, at the time, I felt that if I went there, my opportunity to play first grade was still going to be a number of years away.
Yeah.
And it wasn't through lack of belief that I could play first grade.
Yep.
It's just that at that time I felt, well, no, I'm not going to move Luke Priddis.
Yep.
And I feel that Michael Ryan is still ahead of me.
Yeah.
So I just felt that, if I was ever going to have a chance of playing NRL, it was going to be in Melbourne. I think what helped was that our feeder side was the Devils, and so I didn't have to move away from home.
Oh, yeah,
I could
true.
I could still live in Brizzy.
Yep.
Had to travel from Logan over to the north side to train 4 times a week, but I was happy with that, and I could still live at home and do me stuff down there.
So at what point, so you sign with the Storm, you got to be gone at 5, is it? You got to be out of here at 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
just make sure.
Yeah.
So you sign with the Storm, and did they fly you down to do the preseason with them, or that was probably the next year that they did that, or?
Yep. So what we did, there was like a sort of development group.
Mm-hmm.
We started out training up in Brizzy, and then we went down for like a week down in Melbourne. So it was like guys like myself, Cooper Cronk, Dallas Johnson. I don't know if Billy made it because he come late in the preseason.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit of a taste of Melbourne, the sort of training facilities down there, and also the first graders.
Mm-hmm.
But most of it was done up in Brizzy, mate, and got ready up there.
North Devils. So at what point was it kind of like, that one of the first sessions where you're like, shit, this is first grade. Like, this is, I need to be rocking up, ready to go every day.
Like NRL, you mean?
Yeah, like your first kind of full training session with the NRL squad where you felt like, shit, like I really need to be ready to rumble.
Yeah, so we went down, I went down for 01 pre-season. I spent a couple of weeks down there and did some training. And I just remember being involved in that stuff, just going, mate, this is crazy.
Yeah.
This is, you know what I mean? Like seeing these blokes doing what they were doing all day and then turning up the next day ready to go again.
Yeah.
It's just nothing. I hadn't seen anything like that before. I went from junior footy where you train 2 times a week.
And it's about the footy pretty much.
Yeah, like Tuesday, Thursday night, something like that. And it's just footy. It's like skills, a little bit of running.
Offside touch.
Yeah, that type of stuff, mucking around.
Yeah.
No weights.
Yeah.
Like, what's weights?
Yeah, 100%. Especially back in those days.
Yeah, there's no, like, kids weren't doing weights back then.
Yeah.
And so I've gone down there and like we're doing weights 4 times a week, and we're doing running, and we're doing these extra skill stuff, and then we're doing like meetings, and I was like, man, this is crazy. This is crazy. Like this is what first graders is actually like.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was like this is what I want to do. It was a shock to the system at first, but once you're sort of in there and you're doing it day to day and you're learning from the older players.
Just a bloke in a bar.
It's like the first or second preseason where you start feeling your body develop and you're feeling fit as anything, strong as anything. It's nothing better like when you hit like around December and you're peaking in preseason.
Yeah.
I used to love that feeling. The first one wasn't. I mean, when you the first one, when you like didn't know all the little shortcuts like blisters, chafe, fucking Susan Boyles everywhere.
Yeah.
No one's cleaned them, and you just don't know. Your head's off.
Yeah.
And then by the second or third year, you're like, you know everything. Make sure to not get chafe, not get blisters.
Yeah. Sleep properly.
Yeah.
Eat properly.
Yeah. Do everything
all that
right.
Stuff.
Okay, so that first, so you obviously went all right at the North Devils that first year.
Yep.
Did you make Queensland residents or anything like that?
Nah, so didn't we, mate? So we played Colts most of that year.
Okay,
I ended up playing Cup that year though.
Yep.
I got picked, and I played a handful of games. I'm talking maybe 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
And my first game was against the Clydesdales.
We used to hate yous.
Yeah,
The Clydes.
and mate, I remember. So Terry Madison, box. He come down and started coaching us. I don't know, halfway through the year, or maybe a third of the way through the year, because 01 was the year Mark Murray went down to Melbourne because Chris Anderson and Storm parted ways.
Okay. Yep.
So we needed a replacement coach. Muppet was coaching Queensland Cup. He went to Melbourne, and we got Boxy Madison in.
Yep.
Anyway, a few rounds had passed, and he grabbed me at training one night. And he said, "Mate, I'm thinking about putting you up in the Cup."
Cute Cup.
And I was like, "Jesus, I don't know if I'm,
I don't know if I'm ready.
for
'Cause
this.
You're 18 then?
I wasn't quite 18.
So turning 8. So you're not even 18 yet?
Yeah, I was turning 18.
In the middle there too at hooker?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, I think Cup might have had a loss, and we were flying in Colts, under 19s at the time. And he come and grabbed me at the start of the week. He said, "Mate, you're playing Queensland Cup this week." I was like, "Wow, okay, cool."
Starting or off the bench?
Starting.
I
I said, "Who are we playing?" And we're like, "Clydesdales." I was like, "Wow, Jesus!" So we're playing like Broncos, all the boys,
pretty much
sort
like
of fringies.
Yep,
you know?
absolutely.
And I think at the time they had Hodgie, Brent Tate. I think Cozza was playing.
Yeah.
Kirk Reynoldson.
Oh, yeah.
All the good players. And
I actually debuted Q Cup against Norths.
did you?
Yeah, Greg Inglis was a fullback.
Oh, there you go.
I tell everyone that I scored 2 tries. But I was on the wing. I wasn't a fullback. I tell everyone that I scored 2
Did you
tries.
win?
I think so. I'm
Did ya?
pretty sure. Yep.
There you go.
But it's not about me though. This is about you. How was your debut? What was it like?
Yeah, mate. So we had a draw. We played it.
A draw.
Yeah, we played at
Wow.
Bishop Park, and I
Yep.
think
Bish, it's the pits. I hate Bishop
which
Park.
I think helped us.
Yep.
And
so dusty and man. Bishop
yeah,
Park.
I think the Clydesdales. I think they were winning the comp at the time, so we were playing. Sort of.
Cream of the crop. Kind of thing.
Yep. But we got a draw, and it was a great experience. Like I'm playing against men, so it was a big jump up from Colts when I'm playing against my own age group.
And Q Cup was like good quality.
It was good, mate. It was really, really strong competition. And it was great. It was actually good just to get out of my comfort zone a little bit and play against guys that are more developed.
Yep.
Been around the game a bit longer. There was some guys in there that have been playing Queensland Cup for maybe 5-6 years.
Yeah, real journeyman.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that was great. And I ended up playing another 3 or 4 that season before going back to Colts. And we had a really good year at 19s. We lost 2 games all year.
Wow.
Unfortunately, one of them was the granny.
Oh, torture.
Against Redcliffe.
Redcliffe were gun back
Oh,
then, eh?
mate, against Reddy. Against a lot of boys that I played, a lot of me junior footy against.
Yeah.
So that's how that season ended. Come into 02, and I actually had nearly a full preseason down in Melbourne.
Okay. So you would have been feeling the best.
Yeah, I was feeling good, and I was sort of searching for a top 25 spot.
Yep.
Down in Melbourne for that year. I missed out. Anyway, come back up and then played. That's when I was given the starting 9 jersey in Queensland Cup.
Yep, Q Cup.
And then only sort of round 5 of that season, made my debut for Melbourne.
No way. So you hadn't done much training really at all with them. You weren't even top 25. You just extended top 35 or whatever it was.
Yeah, which was a really in a way for me it was a really fortunate way to make a debut. Very unfortunate for other guys. What had happened was Matt Orford was our number 1 halfback.
Yep.
In the Storm system, he had a groin issue. So they'd sent a guy down by the name of Marty Turner, who was one of my teammates at Norths.
Okay.
He went down. I think he played 2 matches.
Yep.
And then he was in a car. He got involved. He was in a car crash in Melbourne.
What?
With another guy, Mick Russo, that I played a bit of footy with.
Yeah.
And mate, he was in a bad way.
Like a big car crash, like life-threatening kind of thing.
Yep.
Wow.
So he was in a bad way. Like, mate, he was in ICU.
Yep.
For a long period of time. And that's how I got my start in first grade.
No way.
So I debuted at halfback. I think we played on a Saturday Arvo against Bulldogs at Olympic Park.
Yeah.
And I got a phone call on a Tuesday night. I was coming home from training.
Yeah.
The phone rang. Had to pull over and said, "Mate, where are you? We need you to get to the airport straight away to Melbourne. You're going to be playing first grade."
Wow. And did they tell you why?
No, and I didn't find out the details until sort of a bit later on.
Yeah.
Said, "Mate, Marty's been in a serious car crash. Ox is still injured. You're going to be playing halfback."
Oh my.
So it was terrible circumstances.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, in
that
the
play on your mind at all, or not really?
A little bit, because I felt bad for Marty because he and I we'd played footy together.
Absolutely.
At Devils, and he was a good halfback too. He's a good footy player. And just the way it panned out it wasn't sort of the way I thought it would happen. But opportunities come up, mate. And
you've
got to take them. Yeah.
Okay, so you debut. What do you remember from when you put on that jersey and you're looking around? You're like, "Fuck, there's such and such. There's such and such."
Well, I reckon I would have been, even though I would have been more comfortable playing 9, I reckon.
Yeah.
Even though I hadn't played as much footy there as I had in the halves, where I made my debut. I don't know. It was just something about playing 7 in a first grade team.
In NRL,
in my debut,
leading the team around.
I was like, wow. Anyway, but I got pretty simple instructions from Mark Murray. He just said, mate, listen to Scott Hill. He was a 5'8". Mate, when he wants the ball, get him the ball.
Yep.
Just give good service to the forwards, and mate, if you see an opportunity, have a run or a kick. Just play what you see, mate.
Yep.
Don't and just make your tackles.
Yeah.
So my mindset for that game was, don't miss any bloody tackles. And just make sure you make good decisions.
Yeah.
And so like without doing anything spectacular,
Just did your job pretty much.
Did my job.
Yep.
I didn't want to let anyone down. Got through it. Got picked the next week. Played against St George.
Yep.
And then after that game, Matty Orford come back. He was fit again and played out the year.
So then you got named Rookie of the Year as well for Storm that year as well? Or the year after?
Year after. 03.
Okay.
Yep.
And so 03 rolls around. Is that when you really cement the 9 spot? Well, not cement, but get an opportunity
Yeah,
there?
that was the first time. And so at the end of that year, I went back, finished off the year in Queensland Cup.
Yep.
And then I remember I was at Mum and Dad's house. I was just in the lounge and phone rang, and it was a strange number, so I picked it up. Hello, and it was Craig Bellamy. He'd just been given the job, and so he rang up and said, "Hey, g'day, Cameron, it's Craig Bellamy, mate. Haven't really seen much of you play, but I was speaking to a few people at the club. Said you've been doing some good things, so all I want you to do is come down with a good attitude for pre-season. Make sure you train hard, and if you do that, I'll give you the first opportunity of playing number 9.
Oh, man, how good's that? It's got that carrot at the end of the stick, you got that goal kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what it was, mate. And so I thought, wow, that bloke sounded pretty intense. That was just on a
Really?
phone call.
Wow.
Yeah. So we got sent out. I don't even think there was email back then. We got sent
Letter.
out. Yeah, we got sent in an envelope. Got posted like a training program.
No way.
So training program for pre-season. So I'm thinking, mate, what are we in
What
for
is
here?
going
so
on
we had
here?
like these running programs and all this sort of stuff to get us ready.
Yeah.
And then got down there, man, and like the first session I did, I thought, mate, this bloke's a maniac. He's crazy.
Yeah.
But looking back on it, like your mindset then is like, mate, this bloke's off his head.
Yeah.
Like, what's he doing? He's gonna burn us out.
Yeah, 100%. You're like 19 at this stage, 19, 20?
Yeah. And so but looking back on it, and you can see the method to his madness was that he sat us down and said, listen, from a guy that's been at the Broncos and outside of your club, watching you go about your business, it's the way I see it is it's a good footy club, very skillful footy team, but when you're faced with a challenge or a bit of adversity, is
Go to water.
you go to water, you can't handle it.
Yep.
So my goal is to build a physically and mentally tough footy side, and we're going to do that through our training and the content of our training sessions and the way we apply ourselves to training. And so that's what he did, mate. He just ran the shit out of us.
Far
really,
out.
that's all he did.
Yeah.
We did nothing but run
Yep.
and run and run and run and run and run.
Fuck.
And did stuff on the field, like all of our skill work. If we didn't do it the way he wanted it done, we'd just stay out there.
How was it like? Because like you get the shot. Like so, Craig Bellamy is who he is now. But if you're a new coach and you come in with this extreme, you don't have the weight of premierships to enforce it.
Yeah.
So the challenge with that senior playing group, was there did he have like not issues, but was there friction of like, this is a new way of doing things? Like, what is he doing? He's got he hasn't won premierships before.
Yeah. I don't think so, because I think what he did was he pretty much explained to everyone like the path we were going to go down, and explain why we we're going to do it.
Okay.
And said, if we do it this is what I believe the result will be.
Okay.
In the end.
Yeah.
And it's not going to happen like that for us.
Yeah.
But if we continue to work hard together,
Yep.
and everyone jumps on board, well, this is where we're heading.
Okay.
This is where I think we can go to. And the other thing he did too, mate, was, which I think impressed, I don't think he did it so much, I don't know if he did it so much for the younger guys, but maybe it was what you're talking about with these older fellas, just to show, hey, listen, I mean what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
Is, mate, he used to jump in with all of our conditioning sessions and
Oh,
long
really?
runs and all that sort of stuff. And, mate, he'd be up the front, like
Mate.
flogging himself. Like, how many coaches do that?
Mate, it earns so much respect too, because the boys are like, we can't complain, boys. He's bloody fucking out the front.
Yeah, I mean, like, and when he took over at our joint, what was he? He would have been, I don't know, 43, something like that.
Yeah.
Mate, he's running with, sort of guys that are mid-20s, late 20s.
Fit as anything.
Fit as.
Yeah, yep.
And, mate, he's up there running with them. So,
Yep.
the players had nothing but sort of admiration
Yeah,
for him.
respect.
And respect, mate, yep.
And it's much easier to take when you get extras or whatever. It's much easier to cop the extras when you know he'll do the extras.
He's done it, yeah, that's right, mate.
Whereas, like, sometimes you get told to do extras, and you're like, mate, come on, mate.
And they've been standing under a tree all day.
Yeah, and you're like, mate, we have just got tower for 2 hours. It's interesting because, like, a lot of people forget, like, Bellamy had to earn his stripes or whatever, just like anyone else.
That's right, mate.
Whereas now he walks into a room and you can be like, look, it works. Like, it
That's
fucking
right,
works.
Proof's there, yeah.
Okay, so that first year, so that's 2003. You basically, you have a fantastic year, and you win Rookie of the Year. When did you re-sign? Was it that year that you re-signed in the top 25?
Well, what happened was just before 03 come around, and sort of 3/4 away through 02, Richard Swain was off contract.
Okay.
I was off contract.
Yep.
So it was at like a bit of a crossroads where the club actually had to make a decision whether they were going to keep Richard or they were going to sort of let him go and take a punt with me.
And it was like a gamble because you were young at that point.
Yeah. And so I remember I was really good mates with Richard, and like I wanted to play first grade, but I wasn't trying to take his jersey or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I remember speaking with Swar and just saying, mate, like, mate, I got a lot of respect for you and what you've done at this club, and you deserve to make the decision that you want to make.
Yep.
So I'm going to let you do your thing, and then whatever you do, I'll make a decision after that.
Oh, wow.
So during that period, this is 2002, I actually went up and had a look at Canberra.
No way.
Went up and had a look around, and met with Matty Elliott, and did a bit of a tour and all that sort of stuff. So I reckon if Richard would have stayed, I reckon, mate,
At the
big
Raiders.
chance I would have ended up at the Raiders.
Wow.
So who knows where my career goes
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And
Who knows where Melbourne's... so many
like the
different
whole
things.
thing.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
whole
absolutely.
But what ended up happening was, I think Storm and Richard come to an agreement that he would move on. And he ended up going to the Broncos for a bit of a layover year because he wanted to go and play in the Super League.
Okay.
So he ended up going to the Bronx for 12 months in 03. And then, so I ended up staying.
No way.
Yeah, so I signed a 2-year deal, 03, 04.
Far
Yeah.
out. That's just crazy. It's just like
Yeah,
so
it's
much
just-
would be different, man, in the landscape of rugby league.
Yeah.
Okay, and what's kind of ironic is like you've got young fellas now at the Storm who are like,
Same thing, mate.
respect everything you did. I'll wait to see what you're going to do, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's crazy how it all
Exactly.
comes full circle.
Full circle, mate.
So you're going to the Broncos, then that means.
You got the scoop.
Mate, I got it, boys. We got it. No, that's incredible, man. That's okay. So you re-signed, but was it also a case of Storman showed faith in you as a young fella? You know, you got this
Absolutely.
experienced guy where you're like, I want to pay back now.
Yeah, it was, mate. And they were the first club to show like genuine interest.
Yeah.
Out of anyone.
It's crazy.
So I don't know. Like I consider myself quite a loyal person. So I wanted to repay them if I had that opportunity. And then so with Richard moving, I had the opportunity to stay on. And then from that point, I don't know, like I just had this feeling that I always wanted to be a one club player.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough that, from that year, there was never really a time where I was going to leave Storm,
Yeah.
or had an opportunity to leave where I was off contract, out in the market,
Yep.
testing my value.
Yep.
I always sort of was
Re-signed
re-signing
before
before.
that.
Yeah.
And so in 2003, that's also when you made your debut.
Origin. Yep.
Debut. And was it, so you started at 9?
Yep. Started at 9, mate. Game 3.
Game 3. And so this is the kind of like 3 in a row that New South Wales got, was it?
It was, mate. Yep. That was the start of 3 in a row.
Okay, wow.
So they won 03, 04, 05.
Yep.
So I come into game 3 dead rubber.
Oh,
New South Wales had won game 1 and game 2.
Yep.
PJ Marsh had been the number 9
PJ Marsh,
for Queensland
Yep.
for a couple of years and was playing really good footy. Really good footy.
He was a gun. He was a really good player.
Gun, mate. Gun. Really good player. And he got injured. I think he injured his neck. That's when he had that serious neck injury.
Yeah, and he never really got back to his best after that.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So then they had a bit of a sort of they threw a couple of older guys in. I think Scotty Sattler had a game in there.
No way. Scotty Sattler far out. In the
just a bit of a
90s.
makeshift 9. Mate, Michael Crocker.
No way.
Swear to God.
No way.
He played 9. I think he shared. I think he might have shared with Scotty. Anyway, but those two boys.
So you wouldn't want to stink with either of them.
Played a bit of time. No. And then so we lost game 2, and then coming into game 3, there was a bit of talk around that they might throw me in there.
Yeah.
Just series is gone. Give that young fella playing in Melbourne a crack.
Yeah, may as well blood someone.
Yeah, see what happens. And so I remember the game, the weekend before the Origin team was announced, we were playing Canberra, and went up there and we're playing up in Canberra, and I was thinking, mate, need a big game here. Like, I've got to give myself a good shot of getting picked here.
Yeah.
If I play well, hopefully I'm a chance. I remember going to bed that night and I felt crook as a dog. I was like, no.
Please, no.
Of all games.
Always happens.
Yeah, so I wake up the next day and I don't know, might have been a 24-hour bug or whatever it was, but I just felt crook as in the gut, so I could hardly eat. I like didn't eat much food before the game. We played an afternoon game. Went down there, thankfully played okay.
Yep.
And then got the call up for game 3, and mate, it was crazy. Like, I'd played, I don't know how many first grade games I played. I reckon maybe 16.
Oh, at that point?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, wouldn't be over 20, I'd say.
Yeah, I think 16 in a row games, something like that, and then all of a sudden now I'm
playing Origin.
Playing Origin.
And so, did you say it was at Suncorp, or was it
Suncorp, mate?
So the Cauldron. What was that like running out for the first time in the maroon jersey?
Like, still get goosebumps now,
Mate.
thinking about that moment when I ran out. And I remember the day before the captain's run. Like, the week was, the camp was great. Like, Wayne was the coach. It was his last game as coach before this year.
Oh, okay.
It was Gordon's last game.
Oh, really?
He was the captain.
Oh, yeah.
So we had a great week. I'm hanging with Gordon Tallis and Lockie's there, and Benny Eichen, and Webby, Petro Sivnasiva, like all these great players. And anyway, so I remember having the captain's run the day before on the Tuesday, and we were walking off the field, and Gordy grabbed me and he said, "Mate, if there's one thing I can tell you, like, don't worry, nothing about the game, right? You will handle yourself in the game. I just want you to take in, like, when you walk out of this tunnel tomorrow night, just take it all in, mate, because it's something that you will never ever forget.
Yeah.
And you won't get that feeling again. You know,
Yeah, first time.
Ever.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like, talking about it and you're sort of rethinking it, it gives you chills.
Yeah. Oh,
you know?
absolutely.
And like, it's so hard to explain to people.
Yeah.
The feeling of having that maroon jersey on and running out on that stadium in front of, like, your home fans.
And it's the pinnacle.
Mate,
like, your whole life
huge.
leads to that moment.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, you run on. And did you win that game?
We won, mate, 36-6.
Oh, you belted them. It was all you, bros. It was all you.
Yeah, no. At the time, it was that was a record score. At the time, scored a meaty. Scored a meaty.
Fucking hell.
In the far left corner.
Really? Was it just like dive over, or was it
We what happened was
length of the field GR stuff?
Funny. No. Mate, I was absolutely gassed, and there's about 5 or 6 minutes to go. And Gary Belcher was one of our trainers, our runners. And I was knackered. We'd wrapped the game up. We were well and truly won the game. And so anyway, he comes out, grabs me and says, mate, we're going to take you off. Come off. And as he spoke to me, we made a line break down the right-hand side of the field. And we were sort of deep in our own end. And we made a line break. Anyway, he goes, just stay on, just back up. Just keep pushing down the field. And I was like, oh, fucking righto. So anyhow, I'm trying to get down there. And I seen everyone, it went over to the right-hand corner and sort of everyone was fed over there. So I thought, mate, I'm just going to park myself out near the left-hand sideline here. just in case, if the ball comes, something happens, I'm out here. And because New South Wales, their defensive line had all gone over as well. Anyway, we took one more play in towards the post, nearly scored. Yeah. And then Lockie gets the ball and he, 10 metres out, got the ball, he see me, he just zinged it to me, and I think I had to beat Braith. I just caught the ball and sort of
fell
put
down
it over, and Braith was sort of coming in cover. And
do you remember the ball coming to you going, please don't drop it?
Mate, that's all I was thinking. I was like, do not drop this ball. Here's a golden opportunity in the first game. And I barely got it down. But got a meaty in the first game.
Fuck, at Suncorp too.
At Suncorp, right in the corner. Crowd was on top of me. Yeah, it was enormous. And then got a break for the last few minutes, and that was it. That was the debut.
And the beers started flowing, I guess. Did you have to back up?
A few beers, yeah.
Man, that back up. I don't know how you do it.
I don't know. There was something about it. There was something about backing up. It was a bit of a pride thing for me.
Yeah.
Because you playing Origin was huge. You know what I mean. But then you had your club back there and all your club teammates.
Yeah.
That you just,
it's almost a duty kind of thing.
Yeah. I felt like, I'm fit. Am I tired? Yeah, I'm tired. But who's not tired at times? You know?
Yeah.
But I feel I can go out and play well, and I always wanted to go out and back up after those games.
It's I mean, I watch the guys that back up. I watch them warming up and that, and I'm just like, mate, their heads must be just everything's stiff, and it's
you can tell some of them just mate, I'd rather be anywhere but here right now.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, and it's what makes our game so great, mate.
So progress onwards, and next year you get selected again. I mean, then you have 19 consecutive Origin matches, from that point. So basically you get selected every year. But in 2005, you win your first Dally M? 2006.
Yep.
Your first Dally M. Oh, this is, okay, yeah, actually, so this would have been your first grand final as well.
Yep.
Against the Broncos. Walk us through that year. You win the Dally M, it's your first Dally M, you would have been about 22, 23? 23.
Yep.
And so leading into that finals against the Broncos, you were red-hot favourites, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And, I was part of the Broncos squad at the time. And it was just always this feeling of we as a squad, we knew we were underdogs, but we just knew we had Lockie. We had the artillery to do something.
Yep.
That's what it felt like anyway. But yeah, we going into the game. What was it like for you guys?
Yeah, well, we had a bit of a different. We had a really good season.
Yep.
But we had a different sort of build up for that week. We flew up, did the grand final breakfast, and then went back to Melbourne.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah. So I think Craig wanted something he wanted to sort of keep the build up
routine in that as well.
Yeah, routine as normal as possible. But I think maybe that may have hurt us a little bit because we went back down there and there was no league. No one was talking about league because the AFL grand final was on.
Absolutely.
It was all AFL. So I don't know. We had a build up like it was just a normal everyday game.
Yeah. Sometimes that can you kind of want to ride that grind.
Yeah, be up there and part of all the the hype of the grand final and sort of feel the atmosphere building and all that sort of stuff. So I was confident because of the season that we had.
Yeah.
But looking back on it, it was almost like this year, mate, where in the big moments, in the key moments in the games, right, the quality players delivered.
Yeah.
Who'd been there and done it before.
Absolutely.
Lockie, Webby was outstanding. Berrigan
I think was
got
massive.
Clive Churchill.
Yep.
Those guys, they've been involved in Origins. They played grand finals before.
Yeah.
Been involved in a lot of the big games, so they just knew how to deliver on the big stage. Whereas you look at our team, we had some senior players in there, but a lot of, like, there's myself, Billy, Coops was there, Ryan Hoffman, GI, Dallas
Really
Johnson.
really young.
We're all kids, mate. Like,
Yeah.
we'd played, we played a handful of games, but nothing that big.
Yeah.
Nothing that big before.
And against a side with a guy like Lockie in it. it's just-
I think I looked at like the games, total games, like comparison.
Yeah.
I'd looked at it. I don't know, mate. It might have been early this year, and mate, Bronx just blew us out of the water as far as experience.
And like Webke up front, Petro
Yeah,
up front,
mate.
Thorne.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just so I just felt like they had players that had been there, done that, and just knew how to get it done in the
Yep.
big game. Whereas we were much more inexperienced,
Yeah.
and just didn't handle the big game as well as them.
So I think is it the Slater moment where he got taken out? Did he get taken out or something like that?
Yeah, I think there was a couple.
A couple.
There was a couple in that game. We put a kick up, and I think our boys went up for it. I think because Hodjo was playing fullback.
Yeah. Then Hunt was on the wing.
Yeah, and the ball come off him, but they judged. I think the ref ruled it that it come off us, and we scored, but they said no, knock on.
Yep.
There was another period in the game. I think someone ran an obstruction and he let it go, which I think led to points
Okay.
down the track for Bronx. There's just a couple of moments in there that they were 50-50 calls. It just didn't go our way.
Yeah.
But in the end, like, we just didn't handle it. We didn't handle it well.
Didn't respond to it.
Didn't respond well,
Yeah.
mate. And the good teams do that. Like,
Yeah.
they can handle a setback and move
keep
on.
going.
Move on.
It was tough calls though. Even as a Broncos player, they were pretty tough calls. I was like watching going. Okay, so do you think that? So that year, did you think that it was kind of good? Not good that you lost.
Yeah.
But like you felt that pain as a group, and like when you feel it as a group that you can manage to keep together,
Yep.
it's really easy. Not easy. It's much more easy to go into the next grand final because you've all remember it together rather than like people, here or there.
Well, mate, there's no doubt you carry the disappointment and the pain of losing that game.
Yep.
There's no doubt about that. And I reckon I felt it day one of pre-season for 07.
No way, really.
There was a hunger and like a determination in everyone's eyes that they wanted to go out and do one better.
Yeah.
Do one better in that year.
Yeah.
And the old saying goes, you need to lose one to win one. I get that because it's happened with us.
Yeah.
Pretty much through, if you look through, it's weird how this has happened, but you look through the premierships that we won. So we get beaten 06 and then win 07. Get beaten 08. We win in 09. Right?
That would have been the worst. The 08 one.
Yeah.
That would have been the worst
I
one
was
for you.
suspended.
Oh, yeah, you got suspended. Yeah, you're right. Well, that's why he's lost. That's why he's lost.
And then 2010 salary cap year, that happens, right? Then we come into 11, minor premiers, get beaten in a prelim at home.
Oh, yeah.
But then we go on and win it in 12. Then we lose in 16 to Cronulla.
Yep.
Win in 17.
Yep.
Get beat by Roosters 18.
Yep.
Win 20. So it's always gone.
Yeah, it's crazy.
In my time.
Yeah. Loss, win.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane, eh?
So it's almost like you need a bit of a
Yep.
whack in the face to say, hey, listen,
You can lose
reset yourself.
Yep. Doesn't matter how good your year is.
Yep.
You can lose it kind of thing.
Yep.
Wow, that is crazy. That's mental. It's okay. The Dally M.
Yep.
Was that not? I'm sure it wouldn't have been like surprising in the sense like before you go the closed doors, you would have seen that you were there or thereabouts.
Mm-hmm.
But when you won it, I mean, a kid that essentially at 17 had no clubs interested.
Yep.
To go, what was that feeling like walking up on the Dally M stage going, wow?
Oh, it was pretty surreal. Because that was my whole sort of mentality. Like I was actually shocked that I was in the hunt for it.
Really?
Yeah, because I just didn't feel like I was going to be thereabouts. But I think what helped was Matt Orford left our club at the end of 05.
Okay.
And so then we didn't replace him with a
superstar,
an experienced halfback. Yeah, we put Cooper
Coops.
in.
Yep.
We put Coops in. So he'd played, he played everywhere. Like, he was more of a utility.
Wasn't he a wing at one stage or something like
Well,
that?
mate, he played like outside backs. He played a bit of back row.
Yeah, okay.
Played a bit of 9 when I wasn't there. So he was just sort of Mr. Fix-It for us.
Okay.
But then they chucked him in and said, mate, Craig said, mate, you're going to be our 7. So he had to sort of manufacture himself into being a first grade number 7. But I think when Matty Orford left, when Ox left, I think we changed the style of footy that we played, and it was sort of all sort of evolved off me for that year in particular. Just while Coops was
learning his trade kind of
establishing
thing.
himself as a dominant halfback. Not to say he wasn't heavily involved. He certainly was, particularly with his kicking. But we played a lot of footy around our middle, around our ruck.
Yep.
And I guess the heavy involvement that I had just meant that, I don't know, that
the focus point was on you,
the
I
focus
guess.
point was on me, and it sort of that's what allowed me to play the way I did that year and give me the shot at winning that first Dally M.
Crazy Dally M. You can't just like it's just
it was crazy, mate.
like there's so many like great players, and for you to win it, it's just it's just incredible. Okay, so that year as well, that's when the Origin run started, isn't it? 2006.
That's it, mate. Yep.
What do you did anything change? Like, was there cultural talks? Like, what was there talks about, guys? We need to turn this around.
Yeah. So Mal, it coincided with Mal taking over as coach.
Yep.
Previous to that, we had Michael Hagan. Haig stayed on as an assistant with Mal, and he's a very good coach as well. But when Mal come in, having played such a significant role as a player for the Queensland side, I don't know. He just had this sort of passion for the jersey and for the state and the people of Queensland that, you know, it just sort of fed onto us as players. But the thing he did with us was that he sat everyone down at the start of that year and had like a squad of, you know, players that he felt was going to be involved in the Origin that year. And we just spoke about what the Queensland jersey meant to us, what it meant to us to put it on and represent Queensland, and really how we wanted people to perceive us as not only as footballers and the football team, but as people. And so we sort of jotted down like a list of sort of beliefs and behaviours and things like that we wanted to live by every day, and sort of discuss what it was to be a Queenslander. And I think that was what
Switched it.
Well, switched it, yeah, and sort of he took us back and gave us, it wasn't like a history lesson, but like just spoke about Queensland players of the past and what the Queensland teams endured over a long period of time, where all the best Queenslanders were going down to Sydney because that's where the money was.
Yeah, yeah.
But at that time, if you played in Sydney, you represented
New South Wales
in the interstate series. So they were giving Queensland a touch up every year.
Every year.
It was at times a little bit embarrassing for Queenslanders, you know, copping and hiding all the time.
Yeah.
So he spoke about that, and really, I think the big thing, mate, was that he just instilled a belief in us that we could go out and beat this Blues team, who at the time had sort of the majority of the Kangaroos, makeup of the Kangaroos team.
Yeah, yeah.
So for young guys looking across at Joey, Freddie, like all these great players, just like, wow, that's pretty daunting.
Yeah, absolutely,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Like, how are we going to beat them?
Yeah, even if we do get ahead, like he'll do something to get us out of it.
Yeah. So it took the game 3 in Melbourne.
Yeah.
For Lockie to jump on that loose ball, and
So
then, mate,
good.
that set us on our way of 8 in a row.
So did you, over that 8 in a row period, did you hearken back a lot to that initial meeting in the sense of like, this is what we stand for, or was it a lot?
Yeah, a lot. Yep. No, every camp, like we'd always, you know, discuss it early on.
Okay.
We'd have it in our team rooms about, you know, hey, these are our behaviours. These are what we need to, you know, continually live by every day. You know, you'd sort of remind each other at training. It sounds a little bit sort of, people go, oh, bullshit, you wouldn't be doing that, but we did.
Yeah,
That's just who we were, and we learnt that from Mal.
Yep.
not to say, we didn't have fun and we didn't have characters and rat bags in our team. There was plenty of them.
Absolutely.
There's plenty of them.
You've got to have it in footy.
Yeah, but when it was time to work, we worked and we did it the way we felt was the right way to do it and the way that was going to help us be successful.
Mate, that 8 in a row. Like what I speak, like when I speak about it, I always am of the belief, like, and this is not taken away from all the hard work you guys did, but I'm always of the belief, like, there's not many New South Wales sides that could have beaten such a great Queensland side. Like, you had so many all-time greats in it. Did you, like, by the second and third year, were you always trying to remind yourselves, boys, we are beatable, if you know what I mean? Like, even though from the outside looking in...
Well, mate, that was one of the things we spoke about was humility and having humility about our performances and about our success and what we'd done, and that hey, we weren't invincible. Yeah, we had a very good footy side, and we were aware of that, and I think that was an important thing to be aware of.
Yep.
To acknowledge that, hey, we got a good footy side, and if we play well, we're going to be hard to beat. But knowing that. You still have to show respect to the opposition.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't, then they'll whack you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it'll be embarrassing for you. So I think that was the biggest, I guess, thing about that group was that even though we had a lot of, generational players, you look at guys like, Thurston, Lockyer, Cronk, Slater, Inglis,
so crazy.
All these guys,
as
well as all your other, wonderful players that have played in that team. If we didn't turn up with the right attitude and the right mindset and the respect for the opposition, they'd beat us.
Yeah,
and so that was the really.
It's almost like
that was a real strength, mate.
Yeah,
that was a real strength of that team. Is that we always made sure that our preparation was right. We put the work in during the week. We didn't have the mindset that mate, we've won 4 in a row. We'll just get back into camp, have a few beers, throw the ball around a bit, chuck the jersey on, and it'll happen. That was never ever the mindset. It was always about, hey, we've won 4. Well, let's challenge ourselves to win 5.
Yeah,
we've won 5. Let's challenge ourselves to win 6.
Yep.
And so we ended up getting the 8 out.
Incredible, bro.
Yeah. And it was off the back of working hard, having high standards, but also like enjoying what we had together. Yeah. You know what I mean? Enjoying the time that we had together and what we'd built as a group. Yeah.
It's just to do it year, like people, I don't think people really, I mean, they do because it's 8 in a row, but like to do it year in, year out.
Yeah.
It's a challenge because like it's a balancing act of like we are great, but also we're not so great, and it's
that's
that
right, mate.
Confidence versus humility that you've got to juggle.
Yeah, and like you gotta sometimes, like when things are going really good, you gotta grab each other and put your feet back on the ground and all that sort of stuff, keep each other grounded. But I don't know, what we did was we just made sure we worked hard and we operated at a high standard, mate. We had a high expectation of ourselves.
Yep.
After a few series wins, there was expectation on us just to go out and win it. But we didn't focus on that. Like we focused on ourselves and how we could be better, and always striving, to be a better team than what we were the year before. And mate, there was a lot of luck involved. Like we had very few changes throughout that period.
Absolutely.
Like through injury and all that sort of stuff. We were lucky. We were able to maintain a pretty sort of tight, let's call it, I don't know, maybe 30 players.
Yep.
Over,
so true.
over 8 years.
It's crazy.
30 players. That's
amazing.
Pretty good.
Who's the best Origin player? Not club, but like as in when they turn up to Origin.
Oh, yeah.
Who's the best one you've ever played with?
Oh, man, there's a lot, but when you think about Origin, you think of just blokes that just play tough, you know what I mean? And I've been lucky to play with the great players, Thurston, Slater, Cronk, Lockyer, Inglis, who just do things on the footy field that not many people can do. But, like maybe I'm a bit soft. I've got a soft spot for these fellas because I played in the forwards, but, guys like Matty Scott, Nate Miles, Dallas Johnson, these guys that don't get a lot of raps or credit or big write-ups in the paper, but if they're not in your team, you don't win.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Petro Civoniceva, Steve Price, like these blokes, like they just get out there, churn out there 120 metres running, make 30, 40 tackles, do all the little things on the field that no one else sees. Like the commentary don't talk about it.
The 1%ers.
People in the stands don't see it, but all of your teammates know it's making a huge difference.
Yeah.
Those guys are, mate, they were for me, as I said, soft spot for me.
them.
Playing
totally
in the
right.
ruck. Those guys were awesome, yeah.
Absolutely. And it's like, it seemed like every single year, if one was retiring, you got a new guy coming
Found
through.
another one.
That just the toiler. They just toiled and toiled and toiled.
And, mate, there was a period there where, like, we almost had a whole team, or particularly the forward pack, they were just workers.
Yeah, just toilers.
Whereas you looked in the opposition and, like, they're giants.
Yeah.
Big, powerful men, great runners of the footy, got offload, got feet. Whereas our guys, they just
toilers.
They'd run all day, tackle all day, but they just got the job done.
And I'm not asking you this because I was in the game, but apparently, the semi-finals 2008.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's the hardest game you've ever played.
Yeah.
They reckon it was because of this winger the Broncos had, but
it was, mate.
But was that one of the hardest games you've ever played?
Mate, I class it as, like, you take out like any of the grand finals and Origins test matches. Oh, mate, I consider that like the best game of footy I've been involved in.
Yeah.
Just because of like what happened in that 80 minutes. And at no stage in that game were we ever in front on the scoreboard until the last,
honestly,
15 seconds.
It's one of the only games where I was like, we are in control here.
Yeah.
And I felt...
Like, what's your memories of that match?
My memories... I was on the wing.
From the end.
Yeah. Honestly, it's one of the most vivid memories in my mind, especially in that first half. I just felt we are too powerful, too strong.
Yep.
We have these guys under control. Like, we just have them. I genuinely remember thinking that. Yep. And we didn't get cocky. It wasn't like we got cocky or anything like that. Yep. And... so that first half, I was like, and I personally, I felt strong, I felt fast, I just felt like everything was working.
Yep.
And then it was just like, we didn't, there was a few points that we missed out on that we should have executed on, and it would have taken us away from use.
Yep.
And then you just hung in there. We didn't convert, we didn't get the points we were supposed to get, drop ball here, drop ball there. And then, then we dropped the ball.
Yep.
And then it was all hands on deck, and...
Yep.
Then it was the most heartbreaking moment of my footy career.
Was that your edge that we scored on?
Yeah. And it was like, so...
Mate,
it was nothing
you were defending 4 blokes.
Yeah, so what happened was like... I brought it up. I brought this on myself. But like, Hodjo, I'll blame Hodjo. Like, I'll blame him. Yeah. But he's the centre, obviously. But he dummied to Jam.
He balked, eh?
And so I just came straight in, but I didn't read I just went in because I thought he was going in. But there was already, like, even if we slid, like, you're going to score, unless, like, I somehow tackled GI, which was not going to happen on the line. But yeah, it was on my edge. It was heartbreaking. I just remember looking across there and Lockie, and I just like felt so bad because there's Lockie, Hodjo, and then me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just like.
And was that Wayne's last game before he went down to St. George?
He went to St. George the next year. And that year for us, I thought we had the team to win it. Like, I really thought that we had everything we needed to win the premiership.
Yeah. And
then that last 20 minutes wasn't meant to be.
Yeah. Well, that's, mate, I remember seeing some comments like after the season had finished saying that was the grand final of 08. Just the quality of the match.
Oh, it was incredible. Yeah.
And I remember that game pretty similar, like your thoughts, where you guys were in control the whole time. Like, you controlled the ball, you controlled the field position through like Lockie. Lockie was on fire with his kick in that game. But from our side, we felt like if we just hung in there and just didn't let you get too far away, that we'd have an opportunity at some stage.
Yeah, yeah.
Not thinking it was going to be in the last 15 seconds, right?
Yeah.
But at some stage, we'll get an opportunity to get over them. But there was a point in the game where I thought it was gone.
Go on, skis.
So Lockie kicks early. I think he kicked on the 4th. I think he caught Bill out of position. Went down the in goal. You guys put a great chase on down the left-hand side and tackled him in goal. I think Wall might have tackled him. Peter Wallace.
Yeah, it would have been Peter Wallace. Yeah.
I think he got him. Anyway, so we had a drop out, and I was seeing, because your left edge chased down hard, I think Stagsy might have been playing back row.
Yeah, he would have been.
Or might have been even in the centres, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
So he chased down, and me being a left footer, I was going to kick back to that edge and kick off like quickly and hit it low and try and find touch so we get the ball back.
Yeah,
anyway,
he was centre, actually. He was centre.
So, yeah, it sailed out in the full. I put it into like row G.
Yeah.
And I remember throwing me head back, just thinking, I've just cost us the season.
Yeah, wow.
And this is coming off the week before. We finished minor premiers and we got beat by the Warriors. They finished 8th and they beat us as
so you went
first.
Yeah.
We had to travel up, play you boys.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, mate, I've cost us the season. Right? Anyway, so I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, they're taking the 2 for sure.
Yeah.
You just took a tap. Right?
Oh, wow.
You just tapped it.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you just tap it, and I was thinking, fuck, you beauty.
Yeah, how good
We're
is
still
this?
in this. Like, if we defend this, we're getting another shot.
Yeah.
First tackle comes up. I'm involved in the tackle. Inside the 10. Get up. I'm at marker. Mickey Ennis stands up with the footy. Goes out to his right. Takes a few steps. And then so I play the ball.
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
So I steal the ball.
Yep.
I 1-on-1 strip. And we get the ball back and I'm thinking, beautiful.
Yeah.
Right? I've made up for it. We end up losing the ball 2 tackles later. And then I'm thinking, oh no, we're gone again. Benny Hennett goes over on the last tackle.
Yeah.
Gets held up. Don't know how Billy and Matt Guy did it, but they held him up.
So close.
Mate, you score there, done.
It's game over.
Done,
yeah.
right? Done. We're gone. But we make our way. We stay in it. Cooper kicks long. Simsy takes the ball up a few tackles later. Sika Manu hits him, and then rest is history, mate. Yeah, man. That's what happens, when you fucking play 400 games. It's hard to get through everything.
2008, bro.
I know.
We're in 2008.
It's hard to get through it all.
So the salary cap drama. I guess the worst thing with the salary cap drama from outside looking in is like people have only heard snippets of how you feel about it rather than, a long...
Yeah.
How do you feel about the salary cap drama or anything like that?
It's mate. Like now, I'm okay with it now because it's 10 years ago.
Yeah.
At the time, it was bloody hard. It was bloody hard because, and some people go, oh well, mate, he's got caught cheating the cap. Punishment, like take it on the chin. Well, we did.
Yeah.
Well, we did because we fronted up every week and played for no points, but. Yeah. You don't. Again, it's something really hard to explain to anyone unless you've, played at that level where, like, our job. We play in an industry where the goal is to win. That's the whole reason you're there is to win.
Absolutely,
right? We're in the business of winning
at nearly any cost, pretty much.
At any cost. So when you're told, hey, listen, you need to keep going to work and fronting up, but you won't be winning.
Yeah.
No matter the scoreboard, right? No matter what the scoreboard says, no points, won't be playing finals, no chance of a premiership. Well, like that's our job. Yeah. We're there to win.
It's a purpose.
We're there to be involved in finals and we're there to win premierships. So that was the really hard thing to learn. That we weren't going to be playing for points and no chance of playing finals in 2010. Not saying that shouldn't have happened, because they were the punishments and we had to cop it on the chin and move on.
Yeah.
And also, learning of the news that the premierships of 07 and 09 had been officially taken away as well. That was really hard because you look back on it and you go, well, mate, we busted our ass for that.
Yeah.
Like, we trained really hard for it. And
also, like when it's not like you're aware, you don't know what the cap is. Like the players aren't sitting there going like, oh,
yeah. And some people find that hard to believe, but like it's not it's not the way it happens.
You don't even know what other players are on.
And you don't talk about it, mate.
Yeah.
And you know yourself.
Yeah.
Like you don't come to work, sit in the locker and go, oh, mate, how much are you signed for?
No
Oh, how
way.
much are you signed? And then you're sitting on your calculator, adding it up. What's
Absolutely.
the cap? How's it work?
Yeah.
I've got no idea at that stage. So that was a difficult year, mate. And the challenge was having guys in the right frame of mind day to day. It wasn't just week to week. It was day to day. Like when you get to training, where are you going to get the motivation from to go and train?
To get towed as well.
So we're still doing, elements of fitness work. We're still in the gym lifting weights because you got to be physically prepared for the game on the weekend. You got to be in the right condition as well to play. And then you got to spend your hours in meetings, watching videos, doing skill work, and you're sort of involved in some of these sessions, and you sort of stop and sit back and go, mate,
what's the purpose?
What for?
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah.
And then you start having these other range of emotions, like you get angry, you get upset, you're confused, and all these different things are like, sort of start questioning, like, do I really want to play?
Yeah, far
You know
out.
what I mean? Like, do I really want to
Go through
play
all
out
this.
this year and go through all this rubbish like for nothing? So we had to establish quite quickly that our purpose for playing that year, and that the reason you play footy, like you should have whatever you're doing in life. It doesn't have to. You don't have to be a footy player. Whatever you're doing in life, like you need to have pride about what you're doing and the quality in which you do it with or at, or the standard you do it at.
Absolutely.
So we spoke about that. Hey boys, like you're still going out and playing footy, so you need to be proud of what you're producing on the field, not only a trainer but on the game.
Yeah.
There's still people here turning up to support you, with our fans and our members. A couple of our sponsors jumped off, but a lot of them stayed and backed us. So we needed to
represent them
the best we could as well. So that's what we decided early on, mate. But throughout that season, it was a roller coaster.
Oh, man, I can imagine.
Up and down, and like no surprises when we travelled away. Like we copped it left, right, and centre from opposition teams, which is understandable. Like I'm not bitter about that. Like I get it.
Yeah.
But the thing about it, like I remember at the time, and I've put this in my book. The thing I was most annoyed about was like the process of it and the way it happened. Like the NRL found out about the breaches, and it wasn't long after it they handed out the punishments, like pretty much straight away, without doing an investigation into what actually happened. So a lot of the scrutiny come directly onto the playing group and onto Craig. And that was the frustration. It was shocking at first and like heartbreaking, but then after a couple of weeks, you're like, hang on a minute, like this isn't right, like this isn't fair. Like how come there hasn't been like a process here where there's been some breaches found? So make that known, but then do an investigation into what exactly happened, and then give your findings to everyone.
Yeah, okay.
Rather than sort of painting a picture to the general public, and then forming an opinion of those at our club that were just not true.
It's just like the due process wasn't there, really. You know.
Well, that's right, mate.
Yeah.
And that's what we felt as players. Like we just felt like we were. I don't know if it felt like abandoned, but we just felt like we were just. I don't know, we're just left to fend for ourselves.
Yeah, and in reality, the playing group, again, you don't know what the salary cap is. So, like, even though you're getting punished, but, it's out of your control in a way, and yet you're the ones that are most punished for it.
Yeah, that's right. And like, I reckon, like, the punishments were hard to cop, okay? Like, particularly... Well, losing the premierships was tough, but having to play nearly an entire season for no points was extremely hard. But yeah, I think the disappointment from our group come from like we were just sort of left, we just hung out to dry, where there was a perception built around the players having knowledge of what happened. Like people were pointing the finger at Craig Bellamy as well, having knowledge of what happened, which is completely false.
Yeah.
And that just allowed, the players to cop so much criticism.
Because like
what you said, like about like understanding salary caps and how it works and like the value of this, and
oh mate,
everyone's got added up. Like who knows? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I along with my agent, we negotiate a deal that I feel is suitable for me, and that's it.
Yeah,
that's where it ends.
Yeah, you don't talk about anyone else's wages.
Mate, that's where it ends.
Yep.
And then from there, you get paid monthly, and if your monthly pay goes in,
yeah,
that's it.
You honestly don't even think about it. You really don't. You've got to go, bro. But man, we could have honestly
2010.
Mate, we're not even bloody in the meat of it.
We're gonna have to do another session,
mate. Anytime you want, you let me know. We'll get you back on here.
Yeah, beautiful.
Anytime, but I'll let you go. Thanks so much for coming on, brother.
Thanks, mate.
Boom.
It's been great. Thank you.
Just a bloke in a bar.